as always, glad to have you along for these 10 minutes of positive awareness. And today, I opened up my page in 30 Days of Enlightenment and Miracles. And I do this daily. People I know do it daily. It's the second book I wrote based on teachings I learned from my teacher, Mr. M. Brister. But as I opened it, the page I opened up to was titled The Parable of the Trees. And it was it's one. I love the page because that page it always reminds me to be in my place, to be who I am, to express who I am. And the parable goes something like this. I don't have the book in front of me, but the parable goes something like this. Uh, God made everything. He made the birds, the bees, the animals, people, and he made the trees. And each tree bears its own fruit. And the birds flock accordingly. And I remember when he told me this parable, he may have made it up on the spot. I don't know. I never heard it before. But when he said this parable to me, immediately I knew what he was talking about. Now I forget what I may have asked him or whatever. But basically, when he said the birds flock accordingly, it was telling me that based on the type of fruit that the tree bears, or the type of fruit that we bear, or the ways in which we function in the world, then the birds will flock accordingly. And as I interpreted it in the book and interpreted it to myself, I was like, man, that's pretty cool, because God made the trees, and and all these things, they have their own nature. Each tree bears its own fruit, but not only does it bear its own fruit, each tree is in its proper climate. I've always thought about how the willow tree is normally by the lake. The palm tree is in the warmer climates. The palm tree does not, you don't see palm trees here in Michigan, because they won't thrive. So, we have to be in the climate where we will thrive. And it's just it's a beautiful thing, especially when we can be true to our nature. We're true to our nature. Now we're moving with the current. We aren't fighting the current. We were given this nature, whatever it is the nature that we have, we were given this nature for a reason. We even showed up in the climate that we showed up in, born in a certain region for a reason. Many times we are born into a certain family so we can get the experiences that come along with those members of that family. Many times you see musicians in the same family, or sports people in the same family. It's probably no coincidence that I feel there's no coincidence that they, as a soul, drifted to that family with those particular inborn talents to be schooled by that particular mom or that particular dad, and be in that whole environment where they can thrive. And I feel like it behooves us to move with our nature, to function according to our nature. And here lately, the more I travel down my path of expression, or even my endeavors and the things I'm moving into, the more I am being reminded to move with nature, move with my nature, and be true to who I am. And I've been studying a lot of fashion brands and things like that just because of the whole Positive Guru brand. And it's been an interesting journey. I always loved fashion. Going back to high school, our high school was like one big fashion show. There was a whole music scene connected to it that was still part of that whole big fashion show and expression. And then there was the DJing, which I also got into and did. That was all a part of our expression. And it was and creativity. Here lately, I've been watching what people wear in New York, and what people wear in Paris, and what people wear in Milan, and what people wear in Tokyo, and all these different things. And so often you can see that, and the people that are being stopped on the street or whatever, they're, as they express what they're wearing and why and whatnot, you can tell that it's an expression of who they are. And a lot of times they'll say, "This is part of my creativity," and that's a wonderful thing. I feel that we have to be true to ourselves and true to our nature. The more that we are, the more the birds flock accordingly. The more that those who would get something from you get it from you. Now, it could be in your career, and it could be attached to your income, or it could be just in how you move through the world and how people benefit on account of it. And many times we don't know the ways in which people benefit from us until we talk to them. I remember one time when I was young, there was this girl across the street. She was a few years older than me. I thought she was very attractive and whatnot. And one day it just totally blew my mind. We were talking, and she told me, she's like, yeah. And she just started breaking down my wardrobe. She was saying, yeah, you have that one white shirt with the red stripe going down to one side. Then you got the one with the blue stripe. We used to purchase these bowling shirts, and then put our club name on the back of them and whatnot. And she was just breaking down all these different fashions that I had, and how I wore them and everything. And I just thought it was so cool. And then sometimes people would tell me, "Oh man, I used to watch you. You would do this and that with your car and this and that." But they would speak as though they were being inspired, and I didn't even know that this was going on. Later on in years, a friend of mine that does, uh, well, we're friends. We don't hang out, but I consider him to be a friend. And he's a DJ. And he if you go to his pages, there's thousands of people downloading his stuff and listening to his stuff and whatnot. And one day, to my surprise, years ago, he had did a post, and he was saying that I ran into a lot of DJs from the past, and these people are still DJing and whatnot. And he's like, but Craig was the one who introduced me to it. And then and there's a picture of the two of us and everything. And I don't know if it was that time or another time, but it really kind of blew my mind that he had credited me for getting him into his expression. And he talked about how fascinating it was to see this whole thing with these two turntables and the mixing and so forth and so on, and in many ways how it changed his life. But when we are being ourselves and being into our nature, I always love music. When we're doing these things, we don't realize how many people we are inspiring. And not only that, it feels good. It keeps us alive. As I've been studying brands and so forth, what I've been seeing more and more is that the more the brand architect or the designer or the owner brings parts of themselves into it, the more successful the brand is. The more they bring their expressions and the other parts of them, it just becomes more successful. It makes it more rich. It makes it more interesting. It makes it have more of a cult following. But it's that same thing. Each tree bears its own fruit, and the birds flock accordingly. We have to be in our place, and we are in our place. Then things just blossom. When you're in your place in your relationships and in the world, when you're true to yourself and you bring the elements of who you are, people love it. It's a form of expression. Not too long ago, I was at a birthday party for my grandkids. I became an instant grandfather when I married Kelly, and we're at this birthday party. And I can be kind of quiet and laid back at times. I mean, I'm friendly, but I guess at this party, I was allowing more of myself to come out. And and at one point, the youngest grandbaby, Ellis, she's sitting there, and someone's holding her, and and I'm going to entertain her and try to make her smile. You know, she's only 1 year old. I'm trying to make her smile and whatnot. And she's sitting there looking at me, and I started dancing. I started dancing, doing the James Brown thing in front of her, and I started moving into another move, and I forgot about the people around me, all these people who who I am beginning to get to know, but haven't known for too long, and it was, but everybody was just dying laughing, and then she was sitting, and then little baby, she started smiling and so forth, and I think I was handing her something while I was dancing, and I came into her and then handed it to her, and everybody was just cracking up. And then at one point we were playing this game, and I came alive during the game, and I was cracking jokes and so forth and so on, and just truly being me, bringing elements of me. I've always loved dance and all these different things, and I just thinking back, I remember at one point my mom-in-law, she, so other people were trying to entertain her, and she was like, "Hey, nobody top that right there. What you did, Craig? Ain't nobody. I don't think anybody can top that one." And then uh, later on, maybe a week or so later, my wife Kelly tells me that the other grandma, Dom's mom, Nancy, she tells Kelly, "I've never seen Craig talk that much." It's like, Craig is just so cool. I never knew. But as we allow ourselves to express who we are and be who we are, this is the way to share. This is when people get the most out of us. This is when they enjoy us the most, whether it be in our career, whether it be in relationships, or what have you. And it also helps us to move into maybe the right relationships, whether it be career wise, whether it be volunteer wise, or whether it be friendship, just period. But the whole idea is we have to find those things that we love to do and express that, whether it's when we're by ourselves or in the world. And I have discovered the more that I meditate, the more that I live by the meditative principles, the more that I implore them in my world, the easier it is to be me. This is what they call your dharma. This is your expression. This is where God shows up in human form. This is where the way that the universe wants to come through you. Find that and be that. And use the tools you have in order to experience that. Craig Kimbrough, Positive Guru. Until next time, peace and blessings to you all.